we mentioned this real quick. They have to play champs here, which aren't so reliant on having low ping. So what what's some of their more commonly played champs may we not see?
Like, well, I mean, you're right. It is easier to pick the champions we won't see. Draven, we won't see a Draven. Hopefully not. PewDiePie,
yeah, that was
please.
a disaster.
It was. I mean, it was fun to watch. I'll be honest.
It was a disaster.
It was a disaster. Otherwise, really, all the champions that Dignitas plays are low ping champions, and that's kind of what they're known for. They play those kind of tanky. The issue is Dignitas. As a team, they're known for playing champions which are very easy in lane and just kind of farm very easily and then win late game. So that's awesome. Like, that's not affected by ping so much when you play those kind of easy laning champions that can farm really easily. That's why they play them in tournament settings, because there's not so much pressure. You don't have to worry about a champion like Ahri, where you're like, oh, I have to land all my binds or something, and if I don't, then or Veigar. Veigar would be terrible on ping. Where you're like, oh, if I don't hit my stun, then I'm going to suck. But that's not the issue. Scar, he'll play more standard champions, Morgana. Morgana is skill shot based, but you can play her where it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So it's not that big of a concern. Crumbs, if they get Aurelia for Crumbs, that would be awesome. Darius as well. It's just they play tanky teams. The issue is going to come into team fights when Dignitas, they've always been known for getting themselves low and getting themselves out of sticky situations. So they'll kind of run around team fights at 100 HP, and it's like, how are none of them dying? You get the fantastic resets on Scar just because the fights last so long on champions like Ryze and stuff. But it will be very strong as long as they can control the fight. So it's just, I don't know, it comes down to how much that affects their control.
So it looks like, TSM Evo's definitely done their homework on recent matches. The Morgana and Darius both being banned. And, there's just a lot of stuff Dignitas doesn't want to have to deal with. Nautilus, solid ban. Urgot, solid ban. Riven, probably aimed at, I would say like a jungle ban targeted there for Riven. But the Alistar is open. Looks like TSM Evo's going to go ahead and grab him up. I don't know. Are you thinking bot or are you thinking jungle with that guy?
With Alistar?
Yeah.
It could go either way, but Nat Nguyen, he has played a lot of Alistar for support, so it would make sense as a bot lane. They are a very aggressive bot lane. Shen definitely works as well. Wings can either play Shen top or Shen in the jungle, and one of the nice things is it's one of those few champions that Crumbs is going to be very comfortable with. Shen is just such an easy champion. Crumbs can go up top, farm against anyone, and then contribute really nicely to a team fight later in the game. So Crumbs, for the most part, has been playing those kind of tanky bruisers. He plays some Vladimir as well, but that's kind of his limited role. So you take away one of these strong tanky bruisers, you can either play him top or in the jungle. That's definitely a smart decision.
Yep. So, keeping it ambiguous, keeping it tricky, not quite knowing where Shen's going to be going just yet. But, I mean, Alistar, he is solid. Solid as a jungler, solid as a support. But I don't know, it's... Because I've played it, that high ping, 160, 170, 180, and sometimes it can be a little difficult to get that headbutt pulverizer. Maybe I'm just bad. I don't know.
We'll go with one or the other.
We'll go with one or the other.
It can throw you off a little bit. It won't be that much of a concern for them. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. But having, Soraka always works out. It's Dignitas' favorite support, probably, other than Taric. Taric is, they like playing a lot of Taric.
I'm surprised they actually didn't ban the Soraka outright, though, because, it's just something they've been using for such a long time.
Yeah. They don't want to allow Darius on Crumbs, so it's one of the few champions that he's going to be comfortable with. Karthus is just a free farm champion, and if TSM is looking to run that kind of upfront melee kind of comp, Karthus does very well there. So Scar is just going to farm with the best, and he's going to be like, hey, guess what? You gave me a late game Karthus. Morgana also is one of those easy champions. So they all make sense, and wow, we have a really aggressive bot lane for Natformu.
Yeah, this Draven and Leona. Leona there with the stuns, and Draven getting pretty early. The spinning axes, once you get those things going, that is a lot of hurt. That is a lot of damage along with that passive. But as seen the other day, if he extends out too far, wide open for the ganking, doesn't have too many. He has a speed steroid, but that's really about it. And sometimes it's just not sufficient enough to get away from some of those ganks. So, but hey, you get the stuns from Leona though, that can cause quite a bit of hurt. But there's still got Graves. He can dash away, smoke screen, heal from Soraka, bonus armor. I don't know. They might just be a big target on Locust's head then. Just let's try and take out the support as much as we can.
Yeah, Soraka can be very vulnerable, and Draven is just such an aggressive bot lane. Draven, you expect to win level 1 and 2. Wow, are we going to see the same comp? That's cool. So Scar going to be playing Zillion. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Draven level 1 and level 2 beats basically every AD in lane, and he has 50 range over Graves, so he's easily going to be able to harass him very easily. The issue is if he's not careful and takes some damage as well, then Soraka's going to have the heal. But easily, Draven should win the harass battle against Graves, and then if they can pick someone off with Leona, that's definitely going to be really aggressive. So they want to watch out for that. Right now, they need some really heavy magic damage because Shen, he's not going to be the best damage right now. They could pick up a Vladimir for top lane. That would give them some nice AoE. And then if they picked up a mid, like a Kennen, they could go Kennen mid.
I think Ziggs can work here too. Just get that nice long range poke going.
Yeah, I mean they have a lot of options. I definitely would like to see a double AP here with the Vladimir and the Kennen, because the thing is, Draven is best at cleanup. You want to you don't want to have like a long protracted fight where you have him right in front of you. Oh, the Malphite, that's actually interesting. So Draven, what you want is you just want to have an AoE team that just obliterates the opposition, and then all of a sudden you have easy targets and you're just chasing people down, twirling your axes, and it's just a merry old time. So that's where his strength is, by having an AoE comp to work with that, having that Malphite and that Vladimir, they can just combo and burst a couple of people down. Draven can pick up the scraps, but the issue is going to be that Zilean pick and how much he can affect this game.
And then there's going to be more likely Aurelia going to be the last pick for Dignitas. But TSM Evo, their comp, it looks solid. They have they have all the CC they need to set everything up for Draven, but it's not too uncommon to see like protect the AD comps. Like you see it quite a bit on Kog'Maw, very very often. But I don't know, I feel like he doesn't have like that much, like as much like survivability. Like Kog'Maw, you can throw down a slow, you can go ahead and get away. Flash, cleanse if need be.
Draven has he has a movement speed buff, and he also has a disable in his E, so he's actually pretty survivable as far as ADs are concerned. The issue is that he doesn't have good upfront burst in a team fight, and the fact that you miss out on a lot of damage if you're not catching your axes.
And he's also going super aggressive Ignite Flash.
Well, that's to be expected when you have the Leona as well. They want to get kills. To get kills, you need to have aggressive summoners, and it's just a really nice all-around team comp. It'll be fun to see how Draven works out. I really like the Malphite pick a lot, because I was kind of talking about, double AP would be nice, and the big thing is they needed the AoE to kind of quickly win the fights. But Malphite's even better because he has the AoE, but if you expect that Crumbs is going to be playing bruisers, and we were talking about it earlier, Crumbs only plays melee bruisers and Vladimir. So they picked Vladimir to go mid. Crumbs can't play Vladimir now, and that means that it's going to be Malphite versus a melee bruiser. And what does Malphite counter? Melee bruisers. So it works out very nicely. So yeah, so they have Malphite versus the Aurelia will work out for them very nicely. Wings can just kind of farm up there, and then as the game progresses, he's going to be able to shut down a lot of their damage. Particularly Graves can struggle sometimes against Malphite because of his short attack range. Malphite can engage on him very easily and then have that attack speed slow. So it's a really nice team for them. Shen, also will keep them very safe. On the other side, though, there's which one is this?
This is Aurelia. This is the Aurelia rune page. So we got actually some health regen, along with the rest of the kit. So looking to stick around top lane quite a bit actually.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting because Aurelia, the sustain had been nerfed a little bit, but Crumbs won't have to worry so much about the harass from Malphite, and he'll be able to farm a little bit more easily, and that's really what he wants to do, farm. With Mundo up there, he could potentially look for kills, but it's going to be tough. If they can get him before level 6, that's an opportunity for them. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting. There's a really tanky team for Dignitas. They have Mundo and Zilean, Soraka, Aurelia as well. So
it's their bread and butter.
Yeah, it is kind of what they go for, is those kind of tanky teams. But that kind of a tanky team, it's also going to need a lot of coordination because they don't have anywhere near the same damage output that TSM Evo has. So TSM Evo, despite having Draven, who's like, I don't know, the most difficult AD carry in the game to work around in team fights, the rest of their team is just built for team fights. So it's going to work out really nicely, and Aphromoo should be able to, sit back and do his thing. Aurelia can engage on Draven, so that's the nice thing about Aurelia, trying to distract him a little bit, because if you can get in Draven's face, he's really vulnerable to that kind of, a bruiser assassin.
Yeah, and Dignitas also doesn't have really all too much in terms of just like hard initiation. Actually, they don't really have anything. It's just Mundo, take the charge, take the lead, and go. It's just they're waiting for TSM Evo to just go ahead, blow everything, and then he's going to go on, try and just clean up after all the havoc has been gone through in the first few seconds.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how they do. I mean, both teams, neither team has really a strong Dragon team. So, you know, a lot of times you would kind of consider seeing the pressure down there. This game, I don't think that's going to happen. I think for the most part it's going to be a farm game until it'll probably be a late Dragon, like a 12-minute Dragon. And then TSM Evo really is going to want to be the aggressor. They're going to want to, you know, get some fights going just so that they can pull out their force. They can, you know, wield their might. But it'll be interesting to see. Bot lane is definitely going to be an interesting lane because if Leona is able to catch Soraka very quickly, she's going to go down. Usually, you know, bot lane, you don't have enough damage to take down Soraka, but that's definitely not the issue with Draven. No. And then his chasing ability with the constantly restacking W, just a permanent movement speed and attack speed buff, basically. That's a really scary kind of prospect. So we'll see how that works. I mean, at early levels, his Qs can deal so much damage. You can just chunk people for like 150 damage if you attack, then back up. And that's the best thing. When you're playing Draven, it's important to remember to move in between your attacks because then instead of the Qs dropping randomly, you know exactly where they're going to land. And so you can attack, run away, so Graves won't be able to do any damage because Graves is too short range, and Draven gets free harass.
So that also just dawned on me as well, too, is just the Q, the W, it is not, you know, indeed free completely. I mean, it does use, you know, some degree of mana to use. And if he tries to get aggressive, he tries to keep, you know, resetting the W with the Q, go for the speed boosts, try to get in, try and get some extra damage, he could find himself empty pretty quick because remember, you know, Leona, that's an aggressive lane. That's not a sustaining lane. There's no heals. There's no mana infusions. There's not really anything there to just go ahead and try and recover after something like that. So if he's going to be aggressive, he needs to go ahead and make it count. But for the meantime, though, mutual invades going on. Both teams getting very aggressive over around the red areas. Ward going down in front of the Wraiths for TSM.
Draven's mana pool is actually deceptively large because his Q, you actually don't have to use mana for your Qs. You use it for the first time you activate it, but as long as you're catching, you don't have to use any mana. Your W, you're very rarely going to use it. So really you have almost no mana costing abilities. If you use your E a lot for harass, then very quickly you're going to drop mana, but you don't really need to use it. All you're doing is just, you know, auto attack harass. So it's very uncommon to see Draven run out of mana, despite the fact that you're thinking to yourself, oh, he's constantly spamming abilities. We do see that Dignitas, they're able to drop a ward down there, so get some early vision so they can come back safely for their blue buff. And it is actually a decently strong level 1 team for TSM Evo because of the Draven pick primarily, but also the Shen. But there's not really a big threat of them invading. And here you see they're just kind of sitting back, going to hang out and grab the Wraiths.
Yeah, so just go ahead, grab it safe, and Unstoppable, he's just going to go ahead from here and go straight on in to the red. And possibly go in and, what? He's going with everyone to the mid. What?
Wow, so man, with that Shen, they're getting a late invade. Oh, Zillion.
Oh, just barely.
Yeah, he didn't see him,
Not going to see him. Does not see him. Dominate does pick up the blue, though, just in time with a little bit of extra help from a super hard leash from the rest of his team. And TSM Evo is just a step too far behind.
I'm kind of curious where they saw them. I think it must have just been the fact that bot lane hadn't returned to lane yet. Yeah. So actually really nice play by Dominate and Dignitas there. They're like, hey, where's bot lane? I'm a little bit suspicious. So Mundo running towards the bottom lane took a really nice path despite the fact that he didn't see where TSM Evo was. So just really heads-up play there. So everyone will continue. He has actually a nice advantage. And Mundo is a significantly faster jungler than Shen, so having an early, any sort of early clear advantage, he can start counter jungling earlier, or even get a nice gank top before Shen is available to do the same. Yeah,
I mean, Shen, he just picked up his red, and Dominate is now getting his red, but that's the thing, Dominate's got double buff now, Unstoppable only has a single buff, and that's a level advantage, like straight out even. So the ganking possibilities are bound for Dominate if he wants to. Nat getting to stun down onto Cutie Pie. There goes those spinning axes for some extra harass. That's huge damage. That is huge damage so early on. Level 2, halfway gone is just for like 1-2 axes. That is incredible. Another stun going down. Cutie Pie caught up against the wall in the first blood. Going to be going to Nat.
Oh dear God.
Nice.
Yeah. So
nice.
Nat for, I mean, it's just such a devastating combo. It's so much damage with Draven and then Leona as well. And it's kind of a weird thing about Soraka is you have the sustain with Soraka, so you think you're going to be safe, but the cooldowns are so large early, you really can't deal with that much damage.
Dominate. Getting a little bit aggressive here. He's just waiting in the bush for Unstoppable. Gonna go ahead and face check. He's gonna find him, and there goes the Burning Agony and the axe to slow everything. Has to burn the exhaust just to try and keep him still. Will Unstoppable be able to get out of there? Dominate's going deep for it, but will not get that Q, will not get that extra slow, but Salsi's now there just trying to figure out what's going down, what's going on. There's the pull. Dominate may actually go down here. The Ignite's still taking away, yes, but no one will get that double buff. He was dead when he died. Well, he was dead. Of course he was dead when he died. Salsi was dead when Dominate died. Of course,
it's actually really fortunate for TSM Evo that Salsi didn't get that kill a second sooner, because then if Crumbs was able to go up in the top lane with the double buff, that could have been really frustrating for Wings of Death. And, I mean, he would have been fine with it. He's just such a strong overall player. But Mundo getting a nice little advantage there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you know, losing his double buff, but it's really not that big of a concern. And actually, Draven and Leona jumping on the Graves. Once again, we have the Ignite and the Exhaust. And actually, Aframu is going to go down. Cutie Pie, one more attack. And now Leona is out of position. But Cutie Pie taking back the advantage in the lane with force, able to pick up that kill. So that's kind of one of the issues with Leona is if you kind of get out of position, it's an aggressive lane. If it turns against you, very quickly you're out of position.
Dominate coming around to the top lane. Wings of Death is a little bit too far out. Can you get the Q? Yes, get the Q before the flash. Burning so much fire going down, and yes, he will die. But Shen's up top lane. He's a little bit too late. Once again, another step behind. And just so many aggressive kills so early on here in this game. I'm loving it.
Yeah, and that is one nice thing about Aurelia is as a bruiser, she has a lot of kill potential with ganks. You can just follow up with that stun. That's you know, just awesome. So really nice job there. And with any early advantages, Graves and Soraka can actually pull ahead pretty easily against Draven and Leona. So they still have to watch out for how much kill potential Draven and Leona have. But because of the regen advantage that they have, they can just kind of slowly wear them down. Graves will generally be pretty safe. He can just dash away from Leona, so that's not an issue. And then they can actually just start pushing him into the tower, which is what they're doing right now that Leona's back. You throw Draven into the tower. He struggles a little bit more with last hitting, though he is generally a pretty easy farmer with his Q.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Now that Leona's forced out of lane, it's... he requires someone down there to help him zone, to help be a threat. And you know, without Leona, with this lane so aggressively pushing, there's not
Mundo actually going to duel in with Unstoppable. He's chasing after him a little bit. Just get him out of there, so he is going to be okay.
Anger in the briefcase there, just to oh, I wish I could gank you. Crumbs and Wings are still exchanging some blows up there top lane. 31-31, still bang on even there. In terms of creeps for now, except until Malphite went ahead and grabbed a few of those. He will be backing, though. Not quite sure how much money does he have now. He's just going to go ahead and try to fake it out. But there's Mundo waiting in front, just waiting inside the Baron pit for something, someone, anyone.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. He's sitting here baiting out Wings of Death, so Wings of Death a little bit out of position, has the ultimate, so he should be able to get out of there, but actually he's taking a lot of damage. There's the cleave,
Flashes
and
down.
Dominate has the nice positioning, but there's the ultimate to get out. Can they chase it and actually tower dive this? Dominate going to tank the tower a little bit for Crumbs. If he can just barely get in range, just barely cannot, but actually now he's got the backside, and there's the Ignite. Crumbs with the follow-up gets the kill.
Nice, very well done. Nice coordination, just making sure you don't die. That was just the perfect engagement coming in from Dignitas. And now Dominate, he's 6, he has the ult, you can just go ahead, regen that health, and he's just going to go right back to his normal jungle path. He doesn't even have to back at this point. But no, still, you gotta keep. We're still gotta pay attention a little bit to bot lane though, because it's just a very huge, back and forth battle going here. Now, Dignitas was pushing the tower, and now TSM Evo is trying to return the favor. But there's the thing though, with the vision of Mundo top lane, TSM Evo knows now it's a little bit safer to push out bot lane. They know if there's going to be a gank, it's going to be, not anytime in the near future. Salse, Skara, free bombs going down onto Vlad. And that's always a constant threat when you're going up against Zillion. If you get too close, you could just immediately eat a bomb or even 2 if you're just, even going in for the most menial of last hits.
Yeah, and hitting bot lane, hitting 6 for Leona is going to be huge. So Leona just hit 6. the big thing we saw a second ago, they were trying to engage on Graves. Graves has his dash, and Soraka has the silence, so they can easily get out of there. But now that we're we have Leona at 6, very easily Nat Nguyen is going to be able to throw off the ultimate instead to engage, and Soraka, if you can catch off Soraka in the ultimate, she's going to be going down. Like, there's no questions about it. So they're going to have to really be playing defensively there. Try and bait him into a Mundo potentially, and Crumbs just getting the great ranged harass onto Wings of Death, really doing a nice job up there with the early advantages.
Yep, and you got the Phage on the Crumbs. You know, if you get one proc of that is just so much damage going to be going down onto Wings. But Wings did start the first GP10. He's got his Philo Stone, a little bit of health and mana regen there. Probably going to be looking for the Heart of Gold next, just to go ahead and try and keep the income high. But still, though, despite being pushed to tower, the creep score is still pretty even. But you got to keep in mind, Aurelia 2-0-1. Each of those kills and assists just translates into a lot, a huge creep difference between the two. And still, all that damage coming in. The stun, bot lane, Nat is going in onto I'm a Cutie Pie, but he will go ahead and dash away. The heal from Soraka, the extra armor will protect him just a little bit more. And dominate, just always around this other side of the map, and may actually go behind Wings of Death their top lane. But while he's getting in position, yes, he's trying to get some more aggression going in.
With a beautiful knockback. Cutie Pie was looking for the Q alt combo really quickly to burst him down. And now Crumbs actually tanking the tower for a second. Wings is very low. And as we saw a second ago, Dominate in position.
Yeah, once
they'll want to push into the tower first. It doesn't even matter. He's actually going to go for it.
Crumbs like ducking in and out, is like being a little decisive. But there is a ping in that top tri-brush. So I think they have an idea that Mundo's there. There he goes. Pops the ultimate, looking to go, make something happen. The exhaust going down. Shen ult is there. He does get there in time, but Wings does die in the process. Unstoppable.
Oh, Crumbs with like 5 HP left.
Yeah, still manages to get away. Salse's up here as well, but you know what? A little bit too late.
Yeah, and the reason that Crumbs was kind of ducking in and out of that tower range for a long time is he was trying to bait out the ultimate. He knew Wings of Death still had the ultimate. He didn't want to tower dive him with it, so he was trying to kind of see if he could get that. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to, but still being able to pick up the kill and get out of there, so really nice job. And Cutie Pie and Locust just fantastic play down the bottom lane, and the silence on Soraka is just so huge against for disruption against someone like Leona. If you can prevent Leona from getting that kind of full combo off, but if she can lead with the ultimate, that's going to be really dangerous.
Look at Scar, you got the speed buff on, wants to get to bot lane post haste. But there's a little bit of suspicion. He's like, hey, they're pushing way too hard. But Scar does peek out of the bush. There is vision now, courtesy of the creep wave. And Dignitas is going to go ahead and take out the tower straight out. 11 minutes, going to go ahead, to bot tier 1 will fall. And Dignitas can just double back and go ahead and grab this dragon. It looks like they will. Dominate already started it. So everyone's just going to go ahead and join in on the fun. And that's just going to go ahead and extend the gold lead even further. It's going to be about a 3K lead now. And all this harass. Crumbs can just freely harass Wings of Death at this point. This is crazy.
Yeah, and they're really pressuring all of the lanes really nicely. So, huge farm advantages for them. Mid is pretty even, but getting that early gold advantage is definitely a nice boost, because once there's team fights going on, once TSM Evo gets everything sorted, they're going to be really dangerous.
Could be in a little bit of trouble. Unstoppable X is coming back in through the lane. Blade Surge on over and make sure you're out of tower range. But it's a 2v1 there. Top lane taunt keeping Crumbs. Still, the exhaust going down, but Unstoppable's regretting the decision just a little bit. Crumbs is not quite there. Yes, going to go ahead and
in the meantime, Graves is actually being chased down by Leona. There's the Zillion ult onto him, so he's going to be able to get out of there. Scar already a little bit low, but there's the Leona ultimate,
flash
the
over
flash.
the wall.
And actually Salse flashing after Scar as well, almost picking up the damage, but then the fog from Graves, really awesome play. But there's the Leona dash into Graves, so he's going to have to get out of there. Once again, the Malphite ultimate, almost picking it up, but he's just not going down, and Dignitas is just running around in a frenzy right now. But Cutie Pie finally does go down, so they're able to pick up the kill. But for a while, just hanging out at almost no HP.
Most of them, most of TSM Evo is hanging out here in mid with very little HP, just like at their lowest, like 2-3 of their members just below 100 health. And for them to just go ahead and stay in the fight that long, but good on Cutie Pie and Scara as well. Like, they're positioning in the jungle just to go ahead and still try and contribute to the fight while staying at maximum range for a time. Worked pretty well. Cutie Pie did finally go down, but Scara managed to get out of there safely. So kudos to him for doing that. And now everyone's backing. Everyone's starting to get trying to pick up a few more items. Looks like Vladimir there. Looks like Salse's almost going to be finishing that Woda pretty soon. He's got all the components, just needs to go ahead and combine them. And Zillion Scar's got his Chalice. He's looking for that extra mana regen. May actually see an Athenes out of him in the near future, but we'll go ahead. We'll wait and see on that. But mid tier 1 is down. It's just all these objectives. Dignitas is being incredibly aggressive here.
Yeah, and Crumbs has just been phenomenal in the top lane, and it's really interesting. Wings going with the quick gold pretends rather than like some early armor or something. Yeah. But Aurelia has a really nice mix of damage. So it's a lot of it's physical damage. Her Transcendent Blades, her her Q, her E, and her ult, they're all physical damage. But her W is true damage. And Malphite actually doesn't have a lot of HP early on. He has his shield, but his base HP is really low. It's one of the lowest in the games for tanks. So having any sort of burst damage and then having the early advantage, Crumbs can really pressure him with that true damage. Scar going to be picking up that blue, so that's definitely going to be nice. And he's been farming really well. It's a nice matchup, Zilean versus Vladimir, because you can get the harass from Zilean, and then if Vladimir's going to kill you, you usually have plenty of time to prepare. It's not like it's a fast thing with like an Annie or a LeBlanc or something. You're like, oh yeah, I'm going to die in a couple of seconds. All right, well, let me just at my leisure throw on my ultimate, and you can get that harass very safely against Vladimir.
Yep. And I also want to note, Crumbs here, he's about 1,000 gold away from just finishing up the Trinity Force as well. Got the Merc Treads, got the boots, and just once the champ like Aurelia gets that Trinity, that's a lot of burst damage, just a lot of damage output, not to mention just good stats all around as well. So that's going to be hurting for Wings of Death even more. But granted, GP10s on someone like Malphite, it's not completely too uncommon. But still, GP10's top lane work their best when you're winning the lane because it helps over time help you win the lane even more. But he's behind in creeps, behind in kills, far behind in kills.
Yeah.
Chain Vest should mitigate some of the damage, but still, though, he's in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, one thing that's seriously going to be an issue for TSM Evo right now is losing the mid turret and the bot turret so early. You see a lot of their ward coverage, it's a little bit more aggressive. So for top lane, instead of putting the wards down in the river, both of the wards are on the enemy side because you can keep an idea of where they are. Now they're going to need to be a little bit more defensive with their wards since they don't have the vision mid. So like right now, for example, when Zilean is constantly pushing, because Zillian's just such a strong pusher, they don't have vision through half the map right now as a result. So they don't have any control in Crumbs. Wow. Still crushing Wings of Death up top. Just farming, really efficiently, so that's going to be dangerous.
Like just get Wings of Death, just like one of those beer can hats, and just put 2 health potions in there. Because like every time I check, he's just always drinking a health potion. It's just kind of insane, really.
Yeah.
He's racking up the tab.
He's going
to have a huge tab at the end of the night.
I was trying to think of a good rock drinking joke, and they don't exist.
Well, rocks normally are not usually alive. They're not usually capable of having imbibing liquids.
Right.
But that's a debate for another day. Bot lane though, Mundo dominate. Ult has been popped, and Aphromoo is way too far out of position. There's just a nice split.
And PewDiePie with the tag though, so
yeah, he's got the tag, so the tower will go ahead and take him out. There will be a kill credit on there, but yeah, it's just split between the support and the AD, just right down the middle. So that's what happens. That's what happens sometimes. But just good positioning on dominate as well to get just to know he's been really on point really this entire game. With the aggressive invades, knowing where he needs to be. And just helping every lane win, really. That's what a good jungler does.
Yeah, and he's actually going to get some nice damage on the Salsa here. And they might force a fight. Salsa, using the pull, is able to get out of there. But one of the things that TSM Evo right now is, they want to catch up in gold. That's, clearly. That's always
that's
your
always
goal when you're behind. But they want to catch up in gold, but they want to start pressuring fights. And so you see Wings of Death coming down here. He wants to, start pressuring those fights. Shen actually going to be pushing top because they recognize, all right, Shen can just TP in for this Dragon, but they're not actually even contesting it. So Dragon going freely to Dignitas. And then an issue is they want to push. Aphromoo On Draven, Draven's actually a really strong pusher because he has a long enough attack range, and then having the movement speed and attack speed, he can push safely, and then if the enemy tries to engage on you, you have this AoE team to follow up on it. The issue is that both Graves and Zilean are very strong at pushing lanes and counter-pushing, so if they try and push a lane, Zillion's just going to double bomb it, and all of a sudden, that push is just wasted. Like, they're just stalling out the game. So they recognize that they can't group up yet. They need to just kind of sit back in lane and farm. If it weren't for Zilean, then they probably would look to maybe group up and push a lane.
Yeah. Well, which is the unfortunate part, too, because all of the initiation in this game is on TSM Evo, and they're being forced to stand back. It's just kind of a weird flop of position here.
Yeah. But we'll have to see. I think a lot of it's going to come down to timing, and both Draven and Vladimir, they're going to be finishing big items at about the same time. Vladimir should be finishing up that Rabadon shortly, and then Draven as well with the Infinity Edge. So they both kind of recognize, all right, once we hit that point, we can go for these kills. In the meantime, there's actually 5 members of Dignitas setting up in this top lane. Malphite's up there, Shen's up there, so they're going to try and get back. They have plenty of time, but they are going to lose their top tower as a result.
It's not the greatest approach in the world. I mean, this all kind of made a beeline straight for the tower, so there's no real way they could have pinched anyone coming back from TSM Evo, but they got the tower, they got the objective they wanted. But here's the thing though, Vlad still in mid, and then he got Draven still in bot. There's no defense here. There's nothing that TSM Evo do at this moment.
They are just dropping through the towers really quickly, and now Draven and Vladimir, they were split pushing, but they recognize they need to get back ASAP. And we will probably have the big team fight that TSM Evo is looking for. Unfortunately, because the lanes are pushed, if they lose, then they're going to lose inhibitors. So Dignitas actually taking a step back, recognize, all right, guys, they have some really nasty AoE. Maybe we don't want to do this quite so much. So they're going to put themselves in a really nice situation. And again, dominate with the Oracles just providing so much map control right now. They can maybe set up in the jungle, bait a Baron or something, and have that kind of presence.
Yep, so now for the time being, though, everyone's just going to go ahead and try and back. Now all of TSM Evo is actually gathered up as a full 5. They're trying to do some pushing of their own. They're going up as a full team up the mid. Cutie Pie has backed. What did he pick up? He's got his Infinity Edge now fully complete. Vamp Scepter going to be looking to get a Bloodthirster in the future as well. This is a pretty hefty creep wave, but even then, like a 4v5 right now at this point, I think TSM Evo, 4v5 under tower, I'm pretty sure TSM Evo knows, like, this is not the greatest of situations. Push the wave, come on back, farm, try and farm up a little bit off the jungle creeps and then see what happens. Because there's also a pretty good wave top lane. Wings of Death wants to go ahead and try and farm that before it even hits the tier 3.
A lot of it depends on what kind of initiation TSM Evo can get, because if they can get the good initiation and get Dignitas kind of clumped up, then very easily they're just going to stomp them with their AoE. And particularly if they can get Graves. But that primarily is more like a defensive ult, so if Graves is coming up, if Dignitas starts trying to push, that's why Dignitas is kind of just wandering around. They have a huge gold advantage, but they don't have anything that they can do with it. All they can do is try and continue to push lanes and look for pickup kills. If they try and push towers, then that's going to open up an opportunity for TSM Evo to get a really strong engage while they're all kind of clumped up in a group. So Dignitas, for the most part, just going to keep that ward coverage and wait a little bit longer until they can maybe pressure Baron. The issue with Baron at this point, though, is it's an AoE team, so not only are they going to be clumped up all in that Baron pit, but then Baron's bugged. So I mean, if Dignitas ever decided to go for Baron in the next, 5 minutes, they would lose badly, and that's never a good prospect.
No, it is not. No, it is not at all. But to be fair, they do have their escape plans. Zilean with the ult can revive. You got the global heal on Soraka, and this is their like you mentioned before. This is their bread and butter. This is something they're comfortable with. You got the super tanky team, and the worst thing to happen with a tank team is to have someone actually revive and come back. So that could spell a problem. More likely, the huge revive targets probably going to be Crumbs and Q, but there you go, the dash in for the Sun Solstice, and Wings of Death is in too deep to the enemy team. The stun, trying to get something happening with the ult. Cutie Pie actually getting ridiculously low, but Crumbs has been ulted. Will that actually trigger? No, the ult actually goes down, and Crumbs does fall in the meantime. So right now, TSM Evo is trying to clean up here and dominate. Now, all on his own. Locust trying to do his best, trying to do what he can, and wow, TSM Evo. Look at that. I was scared for a second because Wings of Death with the ult straight to the back line was a little bit separated, but it worked out.
And that's the big thing. Malphite can just absolutely shut down Graves so easily, and that's what he did in that fight. He just ulted right on top of Graves and took him out of the fight instantly.
Yeah.
And then Draven with the cleanup. So Draven's actually pretty safe. The issue is that you don't have quite as much upfront damage as other ADs as Draven, but the follow-up is huge, and his team already has plenty of upfront damage, so it doesn't even matter. And now with that pushing potential, they can very quickly take 2 towers and then back out of there.
Yep.
And then there's not really a concern about like maybe a fast counter Baron from Dignitas because it's just too difficult at this point in time. So they can recall pretty safely. Vladimir, you know, and whoever's there can kind of hold it on their own.
And also good call on TSM Evo as well. You saw the Zillion ult did indeed go down on the Crumbs, like double-digit health, was about to, you know, die and revive. It was just like, wait, hold on a second. This could be bad. Just stop until it goes away. And just see. Crumbs instantly falls like as soon as the ult goes down. So good call, good coordination from Evo. But despite that last fight, though, Dignitas is still here with their presence in mid and in minion wave, trying to pressure down the mid tier 2. Vlad is not with the team. Salsi needs to go ahead and catch up, but Dragon is back up once again and might go ahead and secure it once again for themselves. And I don't think TSM Evo is actually quite aware of this. Well, they have really no choice. There's a huge wave down in bot, the always constant threat of the push in mid, and there you go. Dignitas going to grab another Dragon.
Yeah, and Dignitas' lead was just absolutely obliterated by that last fight, but they can still, you know, take pressure in map control. The big issue is when they're all kind of clumped up as a team. It allows TSM Evo an opportunity, and TSM Evo, you know, they have a really strong chance of getting back in this game. So Dignitas, that last fight, they really wanted to pressure the fight because they knew, all right, we're really far ahead. We need to just have a fight. Crumbs, just dive them. Oh, they're walking right
gets
into
the ward right over the wall. Very well done. Just spoils all of Dignitas' plans with that wonderfully placed ward. Wow, that could have saved them the game. They were about to check that bush. They were about to go right in there. It's like, wait, this is bad.
They almost probably would have won the game, and that Dignitas, you know, got out of there as well. So even if Evo had face checked that, they would have everyone clumped up in AoE. So Malphite would ult, Leona would ult, Vladimir would ult. So that was probably a one fight for TSM Evo if Dignitas didn't get the heck out of there. So I don't know. We'll have to see. You can see they're really kind of defensive now. They're a little bit scared. They had this massive lead, and now they don't really know how to force a fight. They can't just, you know, fight them head on because the team fighting potential for TSM Evo is so devastating. They can't push towers very easily because Graves, he's short range. They can't go after Baron, so they don't have a lot of options. They're just kind of, you know, roaming around, trying to get farm, see what advantages they can take. Their late game is very nice with lots of, you know, these uber tanks. Like, if they can keep Graves alive through the long fights and then just have these awesome tanks to survive all this AoE damage, that's going to be fantastic. But the key is, in the meantime, surviving TSM Evo's aggression.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the longer the game goes on, though. You know, Dignitas, they're going to naturally get more tanky just from, you know, having the income and having the builds. But, you know, you're right, too. All this damage that can be built onto Evo. You know, Draven, he's got the Infinity Edge, and just Afromove's just going to go keep building from there. Got the Zeal already. Probably going to be going into a Fam Dancer or just more damage items next. Yep. And then you've still got the Rabadons. Probably going to go ahead and get the. Actually, probably could even just go straight into a Rylai's even. And Vlad can go ahead and still get tanky a little bit himself. Got the Blue Pot as well for the extra AP and cooldown reduction. For in a pinch for the next fight.
It's going to be tough, and I'm really curious to see what Dignitas is going to try and do to take back a commanding lead. And they still have the lead right now. They're 3K gold ahead. But the issue is that TSM Evo, they've kind of hit that sweet spot, and Vladimir is going to be a monster late game. So despite the fact that Dignitas is going to be so tanky, all of TSM Evo's damage and tanks are going to scale well into late game, and then Malphite is just going to continue to abuse Graves. But if they can keep Graves alive through the long fights, that'll definitely be huge. Yeah, and they have the kit to do it. They have the heals. They have the revive. They certainly can. But right now, Dignitas is still showing their aggression, taking that blue, and there's Wings of Death face checking the bush, stunned all that time. Are we going to see the ult? Are we going to see anything coming in from TSM Evo? Dominate is out in front. He is exhausted, and the regen will not be enough. Unstoppable is in the back of the line, but Wings of Death will still be able to live. Crumbs now running for his life. The revive going down onto Graves' Cutie Pie, but he should not be able to get out of this one safely. And Skara trying to help, may not be enough. Cutie Pie trying to battle with the Shen, not
going to happen, and Skara is the lone survivor. Very, very nice fight coming in from TSM Evo.
Yeah, just it's an awesome comp from TSM Evo, and once they were able to cut through that lead very quickly, they've taken a commanding control over this game now. So we'll see if they start pressuring and pushing a little bit more. They need to keep Aframu alive, but he has a really nice range, so it's not going to be that much of a concern if they try and push. The issue is going to be working through the stall with both Zilean and Graves kind of shutting down a push. But if Zilean and Graves kind of walk up, they are kind of short range. So if Zilean and Graves try and clear the creep waves, that could open up an opportunity for Malphite to get a strong engage and just ult right into him. And it was kind of weird that last fight, Malphite almost wasn't even involved in it.
Yeah.
His ult wasn't up at the time, so he didn't have his ult, but they wasted so much effort trying to take him down, and they still couldn't do it. And just the rest of the team was strong enough that it didn't even matter.
And they got all the damage they need. They got the Shen ult to help protect, and Salsa just doing so much damage as well. Nat there for the control, and Crumbs still trying to just make the aggression known here. It's just it's like going back to the lane phase already. But there's Skara coming around the bend, the long way around, trying to get the pinch. It's a 4v3 here in favor of Dignitas. Something may very well happen here, but not many people are getting actually quite low. Not many major damage dealers are here. But there's a Malphite ult to combo in with the Draven ultimate, like right there, right on the edge, and Dominate is now caught against the wall from 4 members of Evo. Will hit the revive, but Salsa is there. Just killed enough time for him to come back around through the river. Ult is going down on Scar and Crumbs. There's both ridiculously low, waiting for the pool, cannot finish up with any more damage.
Yeah, and they have such a low damage
but look
team.
at this.
Right, and PewDiePie not in the fight, but they wanted to kind of stall, and so you actually see Dignitas going back in, going to poke it as Shen a little bit, actually pick him up with that bomb, so Aurelia does go down, but Shen will go down as well. So in the meantime, PewDiePie can still push. Salsa chasing down Scar, just barely not in range, and actually Dominate on the pursuit. Will be able to maybe pick him up, get one more cleave. No, just barely taking too much damage, so Dominate backs out of there, but it does open up an opportunity where Graves is actually close to finishing that turret. Malphite doesn't have the ultimate yet, but he will have enough movement speed to take him down. The turret is down, so that is the key for them. And actually, Dignitas still pursuing Salsa here. Can't get the kill. Dominate does go down. Oh, wow. Can you turn into Salsa? There it goes.
Nice. Nice, very well done, but still kind of an odd trade, but the Oracle still lives for Nat as well. And now PewDiePie is in a full rush to try and get out, but will meet up with Locust, should be just fine. Wings of Death was like, no, get back here. Fine, okay, take your turrets with you.
And Dignitas, that entire fight, you could see they didn't really have, they don't have enough damage at this point. They have a very low damage team. So it was, I don't know, they weren't able to pick anyone off. Malphite and Shen, they're clearly going to be too tanky for them. But being able to stall at that point, they recognized, all right, guys, we're going to start losing lots and lots of fights to TSM Evo. We can't let that happen. So let's just kind of kite them back. So the entire fight was kind of Dignitas with the little bait and switch, just constantly kiting them and opening up an opportunity for PewDiePie to get down there. And it opens up an opportunity for them, where if they win one fight, they can probably get 2 inhibitors out of it. They can get top inhibitor and bottom inhibitor if they win one strong team fight, and then that could be enough to win them the game.
And then you got Scar picking up the Athenes. You got Crumbs grabbing the Guardian Angel, gonna have a little bit of an extra life. But to also keep in mind too, TSM Evo, they also have the Frozen Heart, they have the Randuin, some wonderful combo to go ahead and just keep so much damage away. Especially a lot of stuff targeted at PewDiePie as well. But look, TSM Evo, they're all starting to stack armor. Chain Vest, Frozen Heart, Randuins. You got the Aegis as well. Like, the only person who doesn't have an armor item really is a hard armor item is Leona, but she's a support. It's minimal. It's fine. It's okay. But there's so. However, there is the last whisper on PewDiePie. He can go ahead and get a lot of that damage, but still a lot of it is going to negate most of Crumbs' damage.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. We'll see how Dignitas decides to run it, but TSM Evo will probably be safe.
There's a shard from Wings of Death catching Crumbs, just peeking out of the bush. Yeah, is going in, but the Malphite ult only picking up Crumbs. There is the Leona ult to try and keep everyone still, but this is something that Dignitas may be able to capitalize on. Yeah, it does have to flash over the wall, and there's the Shen taunt keeping Crumbs in place still. Evo, they want Crumbs dead. They want Dominate dead. And there is the ult from Draven trying to pick up what he can. PewDiePie still ridiculously low, trying to still contribute here. Wings may still go ahead and get that kill. Yes, but the bomb, he will not live. The shutdown coming in from Scar. It's a 1 for 2 at this point in time. And Dignitas, it's not looking good.
Yeah, this should be a mid inhibitor for TSM Evo. Unstoppable might actually dive this, but he probably doesn't want to take that much damage, so Scara with the quick time warp getting out of there, but very easily we get it. And actually, there's the taunt. Salse with the follow-up, not going to be able to get enough damage, and Dominate kind of chasing them away, but they got the turret. They can get out of there. Yep. They're fine. So really nice job from TSM Evo, and it's just they're so disruptive, and there's just not enough bursts for Dignitas and not enough survivability. They have a really tanky team, but because Graves is a primary damage output and Malphite's just able to shut him down so thoroughly, they just don't really have a lot of options in fights.
And it's just, you see Dignitas too, like over these last few fights, they still want to contribute. Like, you'll see Scar and you'll see QPie on the very edge of the fight as far as they possibly can, still trying to help out because they realize that, without the bombs from Scar, without QPie auto-attacking, Scar actually does get the bomb onto Unstoppable through the wall. There was that ward over there just for a little bit of harass, just to annoy him. But not Scar and QPie, even if they are low, they still have to remain in these fights, and that's still like a continual problem for them. It's like, we're low, we could die, but we have no choice. We have to stay here. But here goes the Baron. Dignitas going to try and grab it. It does not appear bugged at the moment, but there is the Leona trying to get some damage, trying to get some stuns. And Shen ult going down will be there soon. QPie getting focused down immediately by Wings of Death. Will be able to get out of there. There's a Zillion ult. He should be able to come back, but down goes the Aurelia. Down goes the Vlad, and Dominate also goes down as well. And QPie is trapped in that mess. And once again, Scara, the lone survivor, trying to speed away. Unfortunate, man. That's just, those team fights are just working so well for Evo, and they're going to go ahead and grab the Baron for themselves. Scar's skirting around. He may actually go here, try for a steal, but Evo knows better than that. There's the shard, there's a slow, and the stun, and the ace, and the Baron.
So awesome play all around from TSM Evo, and with the Baron having that kind of a regen, there's just nothing that Dignitas can do. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a surrender here. Malphite's going to be going bottom. There's actually a major push that almost would have been able to take that inhibitor, but he'll be able to clear that out pretty easily, so no big deal. And then they'll just be able to push down that mid lane. They can take that inhibitor and continue pushing onto Dignitas, and there's not a whole lot of options right now. And I mean, they've been trying to kind of run these fights and just keep everyone at a really low health and just kite back and forth, which is kind of what their strength is usually, but just not able to get it done here. There's just too much follow-up potential, and Draven in the back line has been phenomenal, but it all really comes down to Vladimir and Malphite, and they're just such strong picks in Champ Select. So it'll be interesting to see what happens game number 2, but I would probably expect to see a Malphite ban. It's such an easy ban, and it's just so, Malphite is just so disruptive this game. And Malphite doesn't even need to win lane, so a lot of times you can expect Malphite to lose a lane, and Crumbs did fantastically against him top, but it didn't really matter. You just get barely enough farm, and late game you're going to be a monster on Malphite.
For the time being, though, the struggle still continues. 2 Giant Spells there onto Shen. Double, 2 Randuins just to make sure you get those passives and those actives still triggering. The Frozen Heart has also still been something that Dignitas has been trying to contend with this entire game, but still, also you got to look on Salse. You got the Zonias, you got the Revolver, you got the Death Cap, and the Void Staff, just to go ahead and shred through a little bit more of the nearly non-existent magic resist, just like you're cutting through the Aegis, and that's really about it. But still, that's extra damage that's going to be going down on onto pretty much everybody. And Mundo's still trying to tank up. Dominate still wants to try and be a presence, and he's still right up front. He's doing his job, trying to be as much of a damage soak as possible. They're just ignoring him. It's okay, is Cutie Pie dead? It's okay, now we can focus the tank.
Yeah, so in the meantime, TSM Evo going to be pushing down this mid lane. Shen can split push top. No big deal, and they should be able to take this down pretty easily. So I mean, it really is just a nice team comp from TSM Evo, and we're seeing the strength of Draven, and there hasn't been a lot of Draven play. Dignitas played Draven, wasn't quite as successful as this, but on a pickup team, all right, Draven's going to do very well in lane, and then if you have a nice AoE, clearing team that's just going to be able to win team fights, Draven, he can finish off the rest. So it is just a really nice pick overall. I don't know, so we'll have to see. I mean, am really kind of surprised that TSM Evo isn't being a little bit more aggressive here, but they will be pushing in now. So
yeah, they're doing a safe option.
Yeah, this should be a pretty easy inhibitor for them.
Yeah, they're doing a safe option because you see Shen top way and he's still looking to try and go ahead and get that tier 1 and just slowly push in. And whenever he needs to be there, you just go ahead, ult on in, taunt, just screw everybody up, and just like so many of these other fights, Aftermood just trying to focus down that mid inhib as much as possible. Wings of Death really looking to get aggressive once again, and there is Dominate popping the ult, trying to be out in front. Crumbs trying to take down as much damage as he can, but there's the Malphite ult, and Cutie Pie once again focused out. The Zillion ult will keep him up. But with what is he going to do here? Crumbs trying to do some damage, but should fall. And now Cutie Pie is all by his lonesome. The rest of his team is now gone. Now he knows how Scar feels being the last one surviving. And there's not a whole lot he can do here. Wings with the Randuin's Omen, slowing him down just a little bit. He will dash through the wall, but look at what's going on in the base. Salsa just on his own is going after those Nexus turrets and should be pretty successful taking down all those minions. Because Cutie Pie is off in no man's land. He needs to recall just to get the safety and heal before he can even try to defend any of this. But alas, it's more than likely going to be too late. That last fight was just way too devastating.
Yeah, so we will be coming into a game number 2 shortly. Actually, TSM Evo, they will be able to pick this up, and that's what we've been wanting to see from TSM Evo for the longest time. They have really nice strategies. They have great players all around, so picking up the win, really just awesome play all around. They started off, they were like 7 or 8K behind Dignitas at one point in time, but then it was just one team fight. One team fight basically lost Dignitas the game, and the big thing is Dignitas, they recognized that once TSM Evo later in the game was able to get those team fights, they were going to win because they just had such a phenomenal team comp for team fights. But they thought, all right, if we pressure right now, we're like 7, 8K ahead. This is going to be the one fight we're going to be able to win, and then we're going to take an advantage. And the big thing is Dignitas, they couldn't pressure any advantages. They can't push with Graves because he's too short range against Malphite. Malphite can just shut him down. So they were kind of like, all right, we have a huge gold lead, but we don't have anything to do with it. And TSM Evo recognized that. They played very defensively for a while until they were able to force the one fight that was just the big turning point in the game. And they crushed Dignitas despite the gold advantage, and that was it.
So if there was like one champ that you could like swap out of Dignitas for like another champ, like, what would you say would be like the best possible option for them? Like if take out the underperformer, put in someone else. Like what kind of champ would you try and sub in if you could?
I would probably put in Corki as opposed to Graves, and Graves is just an all-around strong champion. I think they picked Graves kind of early. That was their thought is just all right. Graves works in basically any team comp, but Graves, he's an AOE team comp that he's an AOE player. And his sustained damage, because his short range, it kind of struggles. But Corki has lots of damage. It's just like fills a damage role. And you have magic damage from Corki as well. And they didn't have a lot of magic damage on their team. So Zillion, he gives you the utility, but the bombs, they're just not quite enough. So if you have Corki, not only is he going to be a lot safer against Malphite, Malphite just can't do anything, can't shut down Corki anywhere near as easily. But Corki also has a lot more upfront damage. So it's a really nice trade-off. And maybe they would have been able to do it. The issue is they just didn't have enough damage.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, but you know what? It is a best of 3. Not all hope is lost, so there's still a chance for Dignitas to go ahead and try and make it back into the series. Going to be heading into Game 2. TSM Evo and Dignitas just a second. While we're on commercial break, go ahead, do me a favor. IGN.com/IPL. There's a nice little link on the sidebar that says SC2 and LOL swag giveaway. We're giving away a lot of stuff right now. Let's just go down the list. Got an IPL hoodie, t-shirt, hat, shot glass, dog tag, a bag, plus a $10 RP card. Go ahead while we're on break. Enter. You may win. You may win. It's over $100 worth of stuff.
I want the goodies. They're so pleasing.
The goodies are free stuff is always pleasing. But hey, go ahead, enter that. We will be right back just in 1 second. Game 2, TSM Evo and Dignitas, IPL5 qualifier, NA number 2. We'll be right back.